I'd like to begin by saying what an honour and privilege it is to be speaking to you all tonight on this last night of Chanukah. It is special to me not only because I've been invited to participate in this wonderful New Horizons Women's Festival organised by René Cassin, but that I follow in the footsteps of some truly powerful, impactful and inspiring leaders who have spoken on the preceding evenings. When I asked friends and colleagues which themes they thought I could talk about on this last night of Chanukah, one stuck in my mind, that of courage. It is likely that each of us can think back to a moment in our lives when we felt courageous, when we had to dig deep, take a leap, launch into something that we were unsure of what the outcome might be, unsure if we would have support, gain approval, or even succeed. Courage is something that can sometimes be easily talked about, but appear almost impossible to achieve. We may need to find courage for many things in our lives. The courage to speak up, find our voice and tell our story. The courage to take action, bring about change and make an impact. The courage to listen, face criticism or truth, and really understand what's being said to us. Each of these will take a different type of inner strength. This strength can be found within ourselves, but it can also be supported, assisted, and magnified by the community around us. Courage can be enhanced, welcomed, and invited if we dwell in a community that promotes its inhabitants to find their voice, speak their truth, and share their perspective. It is true that it's possible for more than one person to be right, and it takes courage to admit that someone else, even with differing views to us, can also be correct. To be humble enough to truly appreciate the opinions of others, suspend judgment, and be accepting takes courage. The story of Chanukah tells us of the courage of the Maccabees. We've also heard this week about Yehudit, who had courage to defeat her army, of Hannah, who had such conviction in her beliefs that she was courageous to stick by them until her death. So how can we create communities that encourage those around us to have courage, to speak up, take action, and truly listen to others? How can we lift up the voices that we do not hear enough of? How can we signal to those who may be trying to find the courage to speak out that this is a space that they will be heard? Brené Brown writes about courage within organisations in her book, Dare to Lead. We can use her thoughts on organisations and apply them also to communities. She writes that the level of collective courage in an organisation is the absolute best predictor of that organisation's ability to be successful in terms of its culture to develop leaders and to meet its mission. The greatest challenge in developing brave leaders is helping them acknowledge and answer their personal call to courage. Courage can be learned if we're willing to put down our armour and pick up the shared language, tools and skills we need for rumbling with vulnerability, living into our values, braving trust, and learning to rise. Just as the light from one candle does not diminish the light from another, we might see voices in our community that take courage in speaking, not as diminishing other voices, but adding to the richness of the diversity of thought, opinion, and perspective. As we bring to a close our celebrations this year, let us take time to think about who we can support to have courage around us this year, so that we and they can continue to bring light to our community, richness to our perspective, and positive action to our lives. Wishing you all a Chanukah sameach. I now have the pleasure and privilege of lighting all 8 candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav ve'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim l'avotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Chanukah sameach.